Hello, welcome to the Screen Chronicles. My name is Colby.
My name is Steve.
Today we're going to talk about the last half of Season 1 of The Last Kingdom. So, in our last episode, we did episodes 1 through 4. Our plan was to get through the whole first season, but then we kind of realized that this show is way too jam-packed with awesomeness that it's just impossible to get through 8 episodes in one of our episodes without it being 6 hours long. So we know that you would all really like to listen to us for 6 hours long, but
Some of you need a break, probably. Some of you need to build your endurance up to the level where you can just handle us for that 6 hours.
Exactly. I don't know anyone that can handle Steve or I for any amount of time, like that long.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Or for any amount of time. Anyway. But so we're gonna jump in. Let's recap a little bit where we left off in our last episode. So again, that's season 1, episodes 1 through 4 we did last time, where we ended. The Danes have Ubba, the chieftain Dane, has returned from Ireland, where he avenged his brother Ivar the Boneless, his death. So he's come back to Wessex to join with Guthrum, who had our main character Uhtred as a prisoner, and Uhtred was able to escape with the help of his brother Ragnar. And Uhtred's job, working for Alfred, was to go and light the beacon to inform the Saxons that the Danes have arrived. And let me just tell you this: at the end of episode 4, they show like a pan of like the bay that all the ships are coming in, and they got all the ships. They have like all the ships in the world like in this bay. Like, have you seen Pirates of the Caribbean? Have you seen the third Pirates of the Caribbean?
Oh yeah.
Oh, more ships than that. And all those pirate ships.
Yeah, holy ship!
Yeah. And so you're thinking, wow, the Saxons are really screwed. Uhtred lights the beacon. The worker that works the beacons gets all, excited because he finally, for the first time in his life, gets to light a beacon. And
see, hon, you never said I would. Woo!
Uhtred is currently working for Alfred. He owes Alfred a year of service. Alfred had given him land in exchange for marriage with Mildred. Or Mildreth, I'm sorry. And so that's kind of the state of Uhtred right now. He is working for the Saxons. So
yeah.
That's who he's with.
Yeah, and so he just escaped there, and he's going to try and go back and figure out what the heck's going on because he's been a hostage for a while. The big concern for Wessex right now is that the peace they negotiated is going to end because Ubba's back, Guthrum are going to team up, and they're going to just mess up some Saxons. Yeah. So that's the mindset everyone's in right now.
Yeah, I mean,
at the end of episode 4.
Have you seen Rise of Skywalker?
Yes.
More ships. More ships
than that?
Maybe not.
On your left.
Yeah. Endgame. I could go on and on. That's pretty much Guthrum was Captain America, and Ubba was like on your left. And
he was Falcon and Lando.
And Lando coming in, and all the ships are there. Now imagine at the end of Avengers Endgame, a huge storm hits and it kills half of the Avengers. There's like a really bad thunderstorm. Yeah. And that's what happened to Ubba's army. So episode 5 starts with this like storm coming in, and it just shows the boats in the bay, getting wrecked and stuff. And then we find Uhtred on a beach amongst a bunch of dead Danes that were on those ships. And that's kind of where we start in that episode, is that the Saxons got really lucky that there was a storm.
Very lucky.
Really bad storm. So.
Yeah, so he gets on a horse. Some scavengers there, they found a horse, or they brought their own horse. Yeah. He gets on a horse, and he's ready to ride back to his home. He wants to check on his wife, Mildred, who was pregnant last time he left. at this point, she did have a baby actually while he was a hostage. He doesn't know this though, so he's ran back to his home to see what's going on. When he gets there though, he doesn't find her. He doesn't find her. He finds something completely different when he gets back. He finds, what's he find? Oh, he finds one of the tenants from his land there in his bed, doing the horizontal tango with another female in Uhtred's own bed. And this guy is just like, lovely fields to plow, bitter the barley, bitter the barley.
And Uhtred calls him out, and he turns around, and he's all mad. And the servant girl is like, he promised me a coin, Lord. And then the guy just turns around, in all honesty, is like, it was false promise, Lord. I have no coin. Just another bit of humor thrown in.
Exactly. I could have went without seeing that guy's butt, but it was very
yeah.
It was really funny to see.
It was a funny scene.
Just Uhtred walks in on this guy. Just what he's saying to is just so weird. I remember just laughing at that when I was watching it.
When I was watching it with my girlfriend, she's like, "Why did he watch for a little bit?"
He's confused. Imagine you walk in on that.
I feel like it would be immediate. I feel like it just like blow up.
I don't know. I mean, when tenants get in your own bed, when you're the elderman, I mean, it's just kooky situations, man.
I know.
Classic kooky situations.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mildred isn't there. She's not there because Otto the Younger, who is a real jerkhole, and who does like Mildred, actually took her away from the home, partly because he cares about her, partly because he's a dick and like just constantly has to be a dick to Uhtred. So Mildred is safe. He's at the Otto's house.
Otto estate, yeah.
Uhtred doesn't know this though, and but he finds out from Oswald, the guy who was just in his bed, doing the horizontal tango there, that Otto the Younger was the one who took Mildred away. So now Uhtred's mission is to finally take his anger out on Otto, who he's been just hating the whole time, and who I've been hating too.
Oh my God.
I really wanted him to mess him up, and like sure enough, he rides up, and so Otto the Elder, his forces, they're there up on top of a hill, and they're going to fight.
Because they had already decided, right? So Guthrum is in one place, right?
Yeah, Guthrum's one place.
Ubba is where his ships came in.
Yeah.
So Alfred had decided to split the armies and kind of stand off against both of them. Even though other people wanted to like unite and take them all on at once at one side and then go and fight the others. Yeah. But Alfred's like, nah, we're going to split. And so, they're on the hill because Lord, the older Oda, is in charge of a group of men that go to face Ubba. Yeah. And their hope is that they're not going to attack, they're not going to fight Ubba until Alfred comes and joins them after he defeats Guthrum. And, so they kind of stake out on this hill, kind of isolated on this hill, just hoping that Alfred shows up.
Yeah, but meanwhile, like you said, Alfred's still, dealing with Guthrum or whatever. So they're really, deciding, and what they should do is attack, retreat to Alfred, or what.
Right. But so they're trying to figure it out. They're not sure, and Ubba is trying to also figure out what to do. By the way, I didn't say this before. This is episode 5, and this is one of my favorite episodes.
Absolutely, same for me. This might be. I really like the second
definitely
one.
My favorite in season 1.
Agreed. This is the one that
one of my favorite in all of Last Kingdom.
Yes.
So, Ubba. They show Ubba trying to decide what to do. He's of course consulting Story, who is there. And I just think it's kind of an interesting thing to think about when you think Story is giving him this advice based on the gods, yet Story in his head is probably also just thinking about, what the smart thing to do is. Don't you think?
He's probably actually logically thinking
Trying
about
to
what to
figure
do.
it out. Right.
Because, if you think about it, probably back then, their role was really to be an advisor to these leaders. So,
and in this case, like, Ubba will pretty much do anything he says. Yeah.
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 And it's in his best interest for the guy who's, put him in this position of power to make sure that guy does the right thing, comes out on top every time, so he's going to do what's best for that to happen.
So he builds
he's rolling bones and
he rolls up a pile of mud. Yeah. Yeah.
But he actually does get read a good clue. It's again like how you were saying last episode, part 1, about how like there's things that could be interpreted as, mystical, magical, or whatever have you. When he picks up like a feather that's bone dry, and he's like, "Oh, think about it, my lord. The water runs down from a hill,
not up.
Yeah. Not up. When the rain stops, they're not going to have any water. They're not going to have anything for food, and they're going to have to turn and run. We should attack now."
Yeah, so. It's a good point. And so they say that they're going to attack now, and it's a good thing Uhtred shows up to the Saxon camp on the hill.
Oh, he immediately goes up to Otto the Younger with a knife. Doesn't get off and try and rationally talk to him. Where's my wife? Just knife on his neck. That's shown how we've said before, he's very young and brash, and he doesn't
but even Leifrich even says to him after, he's like, could you not have just, he's like, you could have just got off your horse and asked or something like that, and and then he's like, yeah, well, then the young Otto would not have shit himself.
So he does find out his wife's safe and all that.
Yeah, he finds out his wife's safe.
And he's basically going to join them then for their battle. And this is
actually
right
son.
where the first book ends. Is right where Uhtred confronts Otto the Younger, finds this out. They get him to stand down, and then he actually puts on chainmail and helmet and gets ready to fight Ubba.
Talk about a cliffhanger.
And that's where it ends. And this is, the season's still going with this,
Yeah. So, oh man, I would have hated if the season ended there. But they want to have a negotiation, right? A meeting with Ubba. And I love this meeting with Ubba because Uhtred's goal of this meeting is just to go in and just piss Ubba off. That's all he wants to do. So he just starts just talking smack as soon as they get there. He's just talking smack. And Ubba, and it works. Ubba's getting really mad.
I know he was telling him, "Oh, you didn't avenge Ragnar, and the gods are mad with you." And
yes.
And he's like, "Ooh, did your seer tell you he had a stick up his ass? He didn't see that coming, did he?" and just keeps, preying on every little thing he knows about Ubba.
But he lies, though, and I think he says something about Guthrum's army. He's trying to instill doubt in Ubba, like listening to Story. Remember?
Oh yeah.
And Story's like, I don't see for him, I see for you.
But he pisses Ubba off.
That's the point. Yeah.
Where he's not rationally thinking or really even listening to Story. Now he's just reacting, and he's just like, "You filthy piece of weasel shit" to Uhtred. Great
lines.
Great line. It's a great GIF too, guys. If you need a good GIF to send someone.
And to be honest, Steve and I are big GIF fans. There's not a lot of great Last Kingdom GIFs, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great Viking GIFs. A lot of great Star Wars GIFs. A lot of good Ragnar from Viking GIFs. But when it comes to the Last Kingdom, not so much. In fact, I noticed today I went to send you one and I typed in Uhtred, and it was all Ragnar.
Yeah, I normally have a few for Uhtred when I type it in, and then I just get a bunch of Viking ones after that. Yeah. That's another thing you guys need to get on top of. Fix your trailer that's on Netflix, and then Get some more gifts out there, guys. Get some more gifts out there. That'll help you out.
So Uhtred works, and when Uhtred walks away from the meeting, or Ubba and Story leave, and Uhtred says to Lord Udda, he's like, we should attack. Because he knows he just made the Danes all flustered. He made Ubba flustered. Uhtred comes up with this plan. Because he's looking, and he sees at the camp, he sees the women doing something, and he sees the pig fat, how it's combustible.
Yeah.
So he has an idea, and you can see that he has an idea. Then he's just sitting on the hill looking at the Dane camp, and Lord Udda comes up to him, and Uhtred kind of explains to him his plan that he has, that he'll set the ships on fire, and while they're distracted, we can swoop in and attack.
Yeah. That'll cut off not only the retreat, but they'll also be distracted and try and put out the fires that they have going on,
and we'll easily win. And so Lord Oda is kind of about it. He's like, it could work, but who's going to set the fire? And Uhtred's just like, I'll do it. Ain't no thing. And he so he said he's going to do it. He's going to sneak down. We know he's stealthy. His idea is he's going to use those pig fat things to help set fire.
Yeah, help ignite.
Uhtred, true to his word, starts heading down to set the ships on fire. And while he's doing that, there's a scene with Lord Udda and younger Udda in Lord Udda's tent. Well, he's kind of suiting up, right? Mm-hmm. And younger Udda's starting to get into his ear a little bit, saying, like, you know what? Like, it's not for sure that we would win. But, like, if he does set a distraction, this would be a good time for us to escape and join up with Alfred.
I hate that guy. I hate him. I mean, like, every time he talks, he's just trying to get one up on Uhtred. Trying to... Oh, I hate him. I hate him so much.
Right. Because where Lord Udda is conflicted in this, and what he said to Uhtred about not wanting to attack, is that, like, Lord Udda is a pretty good dude, it seems, overall. Yeah. He kind of had beef with Uhtred early, but he's kind of gained some respect from Uhtred's respect a little bit, Yeah. He seems like a pretty respectable dude, and he just pretty much said to Uhtred, he's like, it's going to be really hard for me to send these men into battle because these aren't warriors of mine. These are, like, people that have lived on my land, and, like, I've known them pretty much their whole lives, Pretty genuine kind of thing, telling Uhtred, he said something about, like, they're not wielding swords and axes, they're wielding pretty much like farming equipment or something,
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of Lord Udda that doesn't want to attack, but he did give Uhtred his word.
He did give him his word, yes.
And he says that to his son when his son is trying to tell him to escape. And he said, I gave him my word. And then the younger Udda is like, you know what? Like, you can still tell, he'll probably die, so you can tell everybody that he was a hero and that he saved us. And he'll be forever, looked at as a hero. And then, like, Lord Udda doesn't, like, say anything, and he goes out, and Leofrich and Wulfhere are there, and all Udda says is, ready your men to move. And I think Wulfhere's like, in which direction, Lord?
Yeah,
like toward them or away from them? And then he just repeats, like, prepare your men to move.
Elaborate.
Yeah, and he just doesn't.
He just doesn't.
No. So it leaves us as the viewer, like, okay, maybe he is going to run away,
Yeah. I was
and
getting
he's still
real
undecided. I was like, really? Like, come on, you just promised
gave him your word. He's down there risking his neck.
Yeah.
And Uhtred's down there right now. He did get in. He's got stealth 100. And he kind of can walk by everyone too, because he looks like a Dane.
He looks like a Dane. So
everyone doesn't know exactly who's all in their army. They're like, oh yeah, Dane guy over there,
right.
Dane
We're
guy.
We're still a few years before social media, where you would know, Uhtred's face by heart, right?
Yeah,
so the only people that are truly going to recognize Uhtred are probably, Story and Ubba.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because like you said, they don't have Instagram yet. So, I mean, that's another year or two.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
But he's got the pig fat, and he's throwing it on boats. And
so first of all,
fire
Uhtred,
then really helps just catch with that.
Just like they said never fight Ubba, never play Uhtred in cornhole. So Uhtred, like when he's setting fire to the ships, he's on like the first ship, and he like is using the pig fat, and he's got like this rope, and he's just like swinging it, and he just like under tosses it,
Yeah, I think
like
they're
a
in like
nice arc,
bags.
like into like the boats that are way down the aisle there, and he's just nailing them, just like he's done it his whole life. It's like, I would like to try to do that. I bet it's not as easy as he made it look.
I don't think so. I think I would just keep getting them to land in the water. You know, like from a Game of Thrones where they're trying to let that guy's
Oh yeah.
that boat on fire, and the guy with the fire arrows just keeps like missing.
Yeah.
That would be me with those. I'd be like, shit. Another bag. One more bag. I can do this. I just had to warm up. Oh, I'm getting closer.
Not Uhtred. Not Uhtred. Uhtred is a world champion cornhole player. Yeah. I'm trying to think, are there any other sports that would be comparable to?
That thing where you throw the balls and they wrap around in those like different...
what is that called?
I don't know what
that's true. That I guess that is better.
He could still do that too. He would do well with that. I mean, it'd be a real big stretch, but I'm sure bowling, he might even be good at it as well.
Slow pitch softball, he could be the pitcher.
Ooh, yeah, slow pitch softball.
You know, he could just throw a huge arc and nail it on the plate for a strike.
He could work for Dude Perfect. You know who Dude Perfect is?
Oh, absolutely. He'd be great for Dude Perfect. He's also kind of a bro too.
Yeah.
Can you just picture Dude Perfect right now? Just
picture
like any like Dude Perfect video, and like they're like throwing frisbees like 100 like down the Grand Canyon like into a basketball hoop or something, and Uhtred's just with a bunch of guys with backward hats, but he's just wearing his Viking attire. He's got his sword,
his hair out long, and
he's just like shooting basketballs off skyscrapers. And
whoa! He freaks out every time with them.
He freaks out with them every time. But
we need to make that happen.
Oh yeah. So the point is, Uhtred is a man of many talents.
He's basically the Viking James Bond. He's charming.
Yep.
He's a good fighter. He's got skills you didn't even know he had.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He sets fire, and he decides to just walk out of there all casual, like I didn't do that. And then,
by the way, let me just say something that we haven't talked about in a while. Is that Steve and I have our like all-star team of characters and movies and shows.
Yes.
So we got like our super team, and we also have our like all-star villain team. So the first thing, I think it goes without saying that Uhtred is like possibly like the captain of our all-star team.
I think
not
he's
at
what
least
made us start thinking
captain.
About it.
Yeah. So he like we look for this team, we look for like strong, like powerful characters that are also like good, you know, good people. Like we feel like if they were real in real life, like they'd be cool. I think that kind of plays into it a little bit. And with the villain side is like Steve and I also have a lot of appreciation for some of the bad guys in the movies and shows we watch.
Check out our Joker episode.
Yeah. So just a few examples on our villains all-star team is like one is Thanos. We think Thanos is a great villain. Heath Ledger's Joker is a great villain.
Voldemort, it's got to be on there, right?
Voldemort is, you know, he's kind of a punk, you know, but kind of a punk, you know. But so we're gonna probably periodically kind of jump in with our teams, and I think in this episode, it's safe to say that I would say, at least for me, I would vote for a couple characters. One, Uhtred onto the all-star team, and then I would vote for somebody onto the antagonist team too.
Ooh, yeah, and just to specify too, at our team too, I think we talked about it in our Witcher episode, but it's a specific character played by like a specific actor. It's a very specific thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like if we're talking
Batman.
about,
it's not like any Batman could make the list.
Exactly.
You know?
It's very specific Batman. But right now we're talking about Uhtred, and so far I think we have confirmed that Henry Cavill's Geralt and now Alexander Draymond's Uhtred are two of the guys on our list that you know for sure.
Yeah. 100%.
And
what about
this
Ewan
episode
McGregor's
is his
Obi-Wan Kenobi?
sticking point. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yes.
I would give it to him.
Absolutely.
But what about the guy who played the Ewok in Return of the Jedi?
Absolutely not. No way. The hell no. No.
Dude.
I just can't do this anymore.
Steve's got a little bit of a problem with Ewoks.
They're just
I won't get into it here because
terrible.
it's
and
2020, so I don't want to. Any Ewok listeners we might have.
awful. You're right. I have to take in consideration. I have to stop saying those furry slurs I say anymore. Can't say those anymore.
Where were we? What were we talking about?
Uhtred was just setting fire to everything,
Yeah.
and he's about to make a clean getaway.
Yeah, so he's kind of just strolling out. He's like, fire! Hey guys, there's a fire over here. You should probably get it. And
Why
the
don't you
Vikings
go
start-
get that?
Yeah. Meanwhile, Ubba's also playing some games.
Oh yeah, just having a casual three-way going on.
In his tent, and somebody goes in to get Ubba.
Dory, I think, sees Uhtred.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. So, Story like sees Uhtred just kind of walking away, and Ubba just turns, and also sees him. But also on the hill, Lord Uda and the rest of them are like looking. Uda wants to see if he lights the fire, because if he's able to do it.
Running to run
Just
away
trying to
or
decide
go.
to run away or go and attack, And part of him, I think, doesn't think Uhtred's going to actually do it.
And they were
'cause
kind
he
of
looks-
doubting Uhtred too because
Yes.
they thought all the hostages were killed. So if
so they're
he's
like,
still alive, is he working with the Danes? Is he going to go
yeah, why
down
would
there
they
with the
let him
Danes
live?
and
Why
lead
would
us
he
into
live?
a trap?
Yeah. So when the boats are visible from the hillside, they catch fire. Uda is like, he did it, and he's just like, we attack, like firmly, and it's just like, ooh yeah. I knew it's like I knew he was gonna do the right thing, They
Yeah.
try to make you think though. It's just like with everything they'd showed us of Lord Uda before that though, he had even been kind of disgusted with his son a couple times. Like there's an example when like his son did not pay the full bride price for Mildred.
Yes.
And Uhtred goes to the older Uda and he's just straight up and tells him, and the older Uda like it seems unaware of this, and he turns to his son and he's like, is this true?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, pay him. So he does like the right thing in that situation too. So you're just pretty excited, It's like, oh man, they're gonna do it. And then we cut back where Ubba is like calling out to Uhtred, fight me.
And let's be clear too. He just got out of a three-way, so he hasn't had time to put his boots on.
Yes. Got bare
Just
feet.
put a shirt and pants on. That's all he's got on right now.
And he's just like
No
so
barefoot,
confident, like
No
this is gonna be
armor.
so easy.
Uhtred, will you fight me? Make the square.
Yeah.
So they go up to fight, and Uhtred comments on how he's dressed. He's like, you might catch a cold there, my lord. What's he say? He's like,
Oh, this will not
"This will
take
be
long.
over quick. This will not take long."
This will not take long. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he says something about the gods, like about the ships being on fire. He's like, I think the gods are angry with you.
Yeah.
And then Ubba just lets out
No, wait, no.
Oh, what?
Uhtred, he asks him, like, because, like, are we going to the first blood or to the death?
Yeah,
Is that-
yeah.
That's what he's like, first blood or to the death? And Ubba is just like, and just comes
That's
out
right.
swinging.
Yeah. I mean,
There's fire all around.
they're
all the
surrounded
men.
by, yeah. And it's just Uhtred against Ubba, and it's like the showdown we've been waiting for. Remember,
Mhm.
one advice Uhtred got a long time ago, never fight Ubba.
And
Well,
Ubba is just wrecking
Ubba
him.
is just wrecking him. I mean, and he's just just total like brute force. Like it's not even like super skilled. He's just like whacking. We told you, Ubba's huge. Ubba's a big dude.
He's a big dude.
And I think
Uhtred isn't a short guy, and he's a pretty built dude. But I mean, he's nothing compared to Ubba up there. He's just coming down at him.
Yeah, with his axe, and he just shattering his shield, and just like
he Thanos' him. Yeah,
he Thanos'd him, and and so it gets to a point. It's a great fight.
Awesome.
And Uhtred did get like a cut in on him a little bit, like I think on his thigh.
Cuts. Yeah.
A couple good cuts, but nothing lethal, nothing that is gonna kill Ubba or even slow Ubba down, really.
Yeah.
And Ubba pretty much gets Uhtred against the ropes. Uhtred's on the ground on his back. And
Ubba's
screwed.
Standing on top of him. I think he's got a shield in his neck.
Yeah. And it's just like, and what does Ubba do though? And this is a crucial point. Instead of just finishing the job, he has to get, his pride. He has to feed the ego a little bit, right? So he's got to, he goes and he tries to pump his men up.
Yeah.
While he's doing that, Uhtred like rolls away, reaches a sword,
the knife.
The knife,
and stabs him in the leg.
Stabs him in the leg. Then he takes his sword. That's right.
Then he reaches for the sword.
Then he reaches for his sword, which is just out of reach before. And what's he do next, Steve? I know you love this part.
Oh man, this was crazy. He cuts
and they show it.
Bilateral Achilles tendon laceration here.
Full tear.
Full thickness.
Full
third
thickness.
degree. Grade 3 tear. And Ubba you just see the tendons cut, and he goes right into passive dorsiflexion because those tendons aren't there to keep it, So and Ubba's just like, because man,
and here comes, ironically enough, you wouldn't think, but here comes my bro moment of the episode. What? He slices him. Ubba's now on the ground. Ubba had dropped his
cuts his tendons. Yeah, he slices him in the chest.
Yes, he slices him,
and now Ubba's on the ground,
not dead yet.
Nope.
And Ubba had dropped his axe, and Uhtred's gonna finish the job, but Uhtred has a lot of respect for Ubba, being a great warrior, in the Dane culture, and being the chieftain, and he does the right thing. He gives Ubba the axe, and you can tell Ubba's relieved that he gives the axe back, and he says, "To Valhalla, my lord," and he just
runs him through the heart.
He runs him through the heart with his sword.
Yeah.
And everybody, the crowd, went silent.
Oh man, that's a big upset. That's a big
huge upset. And it's like
seed 4 taking seed 1. You know what I mean? It just
and it's down by exactly. It's down by 2 with 4 seconds left on the other side of the court. There's no chance. Hail Mary, and
that was such a perfect. I was disappointed he got killed though.
Because Ubba was such a good character.
So
he was such
funny,
an exciting Viking to watch.
So interesting. Again, the actor who played you said it before, Rune Temte. Rune Temte.
Yeah.
Man, he did a great job. I know he gets a lot of the big guy jobs, but I mean, this guy's got real acting chops on him too. I think. I really hope he gets some more interesting work in that too.
Yeah, he just played a great Viking. He had moments where he was funny. He was just captivating every time he was on. I wanted more Ubba.
Oh yeah. So every time he's on, I've
got to think we got to consider Ubba for the all villain team.
Absolutely.
Don't you think?
I second that. I think he makes it in. Yeah.
Because I would say, out of the Viking villains, he's probably, even after watching all 3 seasons, he's probably still my favorite Viking villain.
I think he sets the bar for how we thought of Vikings, and their humor and their personality and everything.
Exactly.
There's 2 villains in season 2, Eric and his brother. I'm drawing a blank.
They're also awesome.
great character. They are also funny and humorous, but I mean they still don't top Ubba though. But they're
about as close as you can get. But you're right. Ubba kind of sets the standard, and most of the other Vikings follow it.
Mm-hmm.
throughout the rest of the Last Kingdom. So
this was
just
another time
so
too. We were talking.
yeah,
Not to cut you off, but this is another time when we watched it through a second time, or after we were talking about it the first time we watched it through. I didn't realize he died so early in the show.
Right.
The character.
We were talking after, and I was thinking that must have been one of the last episodes because it was such a big moment. So we were thinking like, man, I can't believe Ubba was only in the whole first season. I think I said it, and you were like, no, dude, he was only in he died like super early.
Yeah,
in the first season, like he died
episode 5, right here.
Yeah, in episode 5, and like in our minds though, like we thought he had been in it longer because his presence, I guess, was so big.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, so sad to see him go. But man, what a way to go!
That was.
And I just think, yeah,
that was the best way for him to go. It was a great milestone for Uhtred to hit, to show where how he's progressing as far as being a warrior, and the respect too. How you said your best bro moment. I'm gonna have to go with that as well. Before you said that, mine would have just been Leofric and Uhtred joking around. But no, yeah, when you say that, that's definitely mine.
That
I'm
was
gonna have to change.
That was a good bro moment too, when they were joking around about Uhtred like almost beating up young Udda. Yeah, that was kind of cool. But yeah, it's so cool how like Uhtred, like he doesn't have to do that. Like Ubba's been nothing but horrible to him. He
never believed them about Ragnar. He's been he didn't give him shelter. He's been trying to kill him. He was his enemy in that fight. Almost killed him, but he gave him that respect. Good bro moment there from Uhtred.
And notice, would Ubba have given Uhtred the respect? He hadn't given him his sword.
No, he did. That's a good point. He did not let him have his sword.
At the same time, does Ubba even picture him as a legitimate Dane?
Does he recognize him as a?
Because he knows he was a Saxon slave.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But I think Uhtred would want to go out that way. I think he definitely would want to make sure he has a sword in hand.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So, I think they another cool thread through the show is like the battle of the religions, and everybody's faith, and you see both sides of it. So, I really like that aspect of the show.
Oh, absolutely.
How much it means to be holding your weapon when you get killed,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, it's just awesome. So
So after this though, he gets up.
Oh man. And you think the awesomeness is done? No.
Everyone starts coming up to Uhtred now. They're like, well, we have to kill you.
They're in a bit of awe. So like Uhtred starts like backing away, and they're all just like, yeah, you're right. Like you said it good. He's like, oh well, I guess we got to kill you now. So they're all about to charge him, right?
Yeah,
all the Vikings.
Just cool stance, ready to fight him, and then out of their shadows, Udda's men just come. Hut. Like,
do you remember watching this?
We went nuts. I did crap my pants.
So not only was it cool, so like pretty much like they just envelop Uhtred in this shield wall, and you hear Leofric yell. And just the way they just like surround Uhtred as he's being charged looked, the way they filmed it,
great shot.
One of the best moments in the whole series.
Absolutely.
I gotta say. So well done, the way they filmed that.
Yeah, from him making up to the camp, up to this point, where they envelop him and start fighting the Danes. I mean, that was like the pinnacle for me of this season. I mean, the rest of the season is great for sure, but I mean, man, that was probably my best moment overall from the whole season. And definitely one of my best moments from the whole show.
100%. 100%. So they do it, and
Saxons beat the Danes there. They win,
and so they win.
Uhtred setting fire, killing Ubba. I mean, it's really him that really saved Wessex in this instance. That they didn't have to fight a full out assault on two fronts. They had a distracted enemy.
Yeah, it was pretty much like all Uhtred.
It was.
And,
It was.
And the older Uda knows, everybody that was there knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the older Lord Uda got pretty badly injured, so he's kind of incapacitated. But he's able to like say the words to Uhtred. Here's another cool bro moment, by the way. You know, you served Alfred well today. And Uhtred just looks like super satisfied with that. You know?
And I'm feeling satisfied at this point too.
Oh yeah. And you're just like, you see the happiness on Uhtred's face, you know?
Yeah.
And Uhtred also thinks he's got it made now. He's in his head, he's like, well, I'm the hero of Wessex now, like Alfred's gonna have to give me anything I want now. You know, I
start trusting me. But, I don't have to take this crap anymore from them about me being a pagan. Like
young Oda has some other ideas.
Yep.
So it's actually, who tells him? Is it Leofrich? I think tells him you should go right to Alfred.
You should go to Alfred
and tell
right
him,
now. Tell him you saved Wessex.
And
before someone else gets there and tells them that they saved Wessex. But Uhtred's like,
being the good
I haven't
dude
seen my wife and son.
I've never met my son. I want to meet my son.
Yeah. He's like, all the men saw what I did.
Yeah, others will tell of what I did.
Yeah. He's expecting good people. He's expecting other people to do good things, you know, just as he would, you know. And reputation is another big thing for Vikings. Yeah. We learned that from I think we see that more from the show Vikings, but we definitely see it in this show too. And Uhtred's like, well, you know, my reputation, you know, that's going to carry to the men. They're going to talk. Everyone's going to know. Because, where he's from, the Dane culture, like, they sing songs about, you know, the guy did something great. Like, they, you know, like Ragnar Lothbrok, you look up any myths about him, he had magic pants and everything like that. You know what I mean? Right. So that's what he's expecting is, like, I've just got my reputation coming. Right. But, like you said, Otto the Younger, he's got other plans.
So he's going to go right to Uhtred and tell, or Alfred, and tell Alfred his version of the story. And he doesn't say anything about Uhtred.
Mm-mm. And also, too, he's like, here's Ubba's axe.
Yeah.
And Uhtred was like, we need to bury Ubba
with
his axe. Because this is like what the closest thing the Danes are going to have to a full-on like king. Like you guys
you got to
take
respect
for granted
that.
With Alfred. Like you've got to bury him with his axe. You've got to respect him. And Otto's, you know, even it's not this episode, but in a later one, he's like, let's build a church right up where his corpse is, and let's just throw his bones out. And just a real piece of crap. I mean, just a real entitled kid that, you know, it doesn't respect, you know, who really got them there.
His daddy had, you know, made a life for himself, and he's like going to inherit that, and he's just a punk and spoiled. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's pretty much what he is. If he was like modern day Oda.
Yeah.
Young Oda, he'd just be like,
he's a trust fund baby.
Frat kid who like, you know,
plays the cross and has like a real nice car and just drinks every weekend.
And is just mean to people because he's rich, you know?
Just mean to people because he's rich, you know?
So that's pretty much.
He's got a lot of followers, and you're like, how's he get all these followers when he's a dick? But, you know, that's young Oda for you.
Yep. So Alfred, in his mind, you know,
he's like, all right, well, that's the truth.
Yeah, that must be what happened. And so I think they go back to Winchester and they're celebrating, right?
Yeah, and Uhtred met up with his wife. He saw his kid. It's a good, heartwarming scene. He told her what happened. Uhtred, and they roll into to Wessex then, or Winchester.
Yeah, and they're like expecting praise, expecting like everyone to love him, and he like is super happy going in, and he kind of notices nobody's really paying any attention to him.
Yeah, and Bianca comes up to him and he's like, "You're alive," and he's like, "Of course I'm alive. I was at the battle. I freaking won the whole battle that saved us." You know?
Bianca is like looks confused,
and Uhtred instantly is like, young Oda, that piece of crap.
Yeah, he realizes.
He's like, and everyone's like in prayer right now. Alfred's in prayer.
Yeah.
All the
And
other
so
top dogs are in prayer
here's
right
another
now.
example of like where Uhtred probably should have practiced some restraint, where he was kind of being rash. He was letting his emotions take over.
I was feeling the
And
same way he was, though.
oh,
I was like,
100%.
in
No,
my
not
head,
that
I was like, you need to go in there
Yeah.
right now, bro.
Yeah.
You need to set this straight right now. No
But
mixed
think
words
about what would
about
have
it.
happened though, like right. But what if, like in the other scenario, what if he had waited to talk to Alfred like afterward? Like he just like scheduled a meeting with his secretary and he's like, I just like to have a meeting with Alfred, and just talk to him about what really happened. Like how would Alfred have taken it then? You
I
think
think
he
he would have
given...
believed him. I think you're right. I think he would have, because Alfred is a smart guy, and I think if he would have heard about the fire being set, he would have been like, yeah, that was definitely Uhtred on a Navy
not
SEAL
young
mission
Oda
there.
or anybody else. Yeah, exactly. So, but Uhtred doesn't give himself that chance because he just storms right in to the peace. They're in church. They're praying. They're at peace.
He's got a
with
sword
his
on.
sword. And this is kind of dumb. I'm sorry, Uhtred, but you probably shouldn't have whipped the sword out in front of the king, dressed like a Dane. Yeah.
He just starts screaming at Alfred, telling him how it really happened, and but like no one's listening to him now because they're just like, dude, you're being a jerk. You're wrecking our party here, man. You're wrecking our prayer party.
Not even, Alfred doesn't even care what he has to say. He's just mad that he disturbed the peace.
Yeah, and he's got to show that he's tough here because he's the king. And if some guy, who can just come up to him and start yelling at him and pull out a sword, then no one's going to respect him.
It's not tolerable, and I get
side
Alfred's side too.
Oh yeah.
So that's just what makes me wish. I just wish Uhtred had just waited, because Byakuya was just trying to tell him like, you can't do this now. He's in peace, Yeah. And Uhtred just didn't hear any of that. He was just going for it.
Byakuya was being a good bro here too during this whole time. When Uhtred comes in, he starts yelling at him. Byakuya's like, I think Uhtred just wants to join prayer, Lord. Just like
he's trying to help. He's trying to help.
Keeps like trying to like rephrase everything Uhtred is saying, and like, but Uhtred's like, no, like,
yeah. So Uhtred's getting in some trouble. He's like, you will, and Alfred, the actor, again, he demonstrates authority. He's like, you will go to the courtyard and wait for me to pass judgment. It's pretty cool, like, hard-hitting moment, Yeah. And then Alfred is like, we will, resume the peace, and his wife, is like, you gotta kill him. Gotta kill him.
You gotta kill him right now.
She hates Uhtred.
Oh, she does. And this is a moment where I was just like, I don't like her. But now, like this time I watched it, I'm like, that's that really pretty woman, Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not really that mad right now.
Shallow. You are so shallow, Steve.
I guess. I'm still mad at Oda.
Because he's ugly?
I don't know. He's a guy.
But yeah, so he waits out there, and then Uhtred, like, Mildred is saying stuff to him, like, you need to, like you can't do what you just did, like, you need to practice restraint, and like, what you need is, what does she say? Like, saying humility stuff like, something. Yeah, what you need is humility. And then Uhtred just turns around and is like, what I need, woman, is justice. Like Batman. Justice, woman. Alfred, Rachel,
Harvey Dent.
Can we trust him? Yeah. And
but Wolf here comes out, who's like the acting executioner, I guess. And he's like, you've got to.
Sort of a bro moment here.
Yeah. How so? Say. Because so I'll set it up and you tell me. Okay. So he comes out and he tells them, like, you've got to beg right now. You've got to grovel. You've got to do penance, or I get to pull your guts out your ass.
All right, let me explain. But he's telling him, though, he's pretty much like, as a bro, telling him like he doesn't, Wolfir doesn't have a choice. Both options. He's like, you should grovel. He's pretty much telling him to grovel, otherwise he's gonna have to kill him by King's order. And he says to him, you know, it doesn't matter a gnat's dick. Not a gnat's dick.
It doesn't matter a gnat's dick that you killed Ubba. The sun shines out of young Otto's asshole right now, and it is glorious.
Blinding. He says it is blinding, and
which is like, but I killed Ubba, not a gnat's dick.
So he's telling him, he's pretty much telling him that doesn't matter now. You just need at this point to grovel. So I do think he's looking out for him here. Yeah, I think he is trying to help him.
But it does make you like kind of resent the situation because he's everyone recognizes the truth.
Wolfir was there. Wolfir was there. Why can't Wolfir say like, Lord, like? But that's not about. But again, the situation of Uhtred being possibly executed or having to grovel is not about the battle or anything to do with the battle.
Yeah.
What it has to do with is that Uhtred pulled his sword on the king. Not that he was going to do anything, but like still like. You're an outside party. How do you know that he's not about to hack the king down right there?
And the fact too that he's a pagan too. Everyone who is
nobody trusts him anyway.
Devout. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody really trusts him anyway, even though they had every reason to.
Mm-hmm.
But still, that's where I think, man, Uhtred, why couldn't you just have waited and just had a civil discussion with Alfred?
Exactly.
But anyway.
So anyway, Uhtred, he has to do this. He finally agrees to do it. But also. They pull in Aethelwald, who was also, remember they sent him off to, you know, get converted to preschool or something. But he came back. He got drunk. He was outborn again.
So he needed to grovel too.
So they also need him. So he goes with Uhtred. They have to get on their hands and knees and
this isn't Ethelwald's. This isn't Ethelwald's first grovel.
Oh, this is not his.
He's a veteran. This is Uhtred's first grovel. Uhtred doesn't know what this is.
Aethelwald doesn't have any, concern about his image or anything like that. He's just like, if I just get to the end, I don't die, and I keep living my life. You know,
I keep trying to be king because I am the king.
Yeah.
And so what they do is they have to like crawl on their knees while people throw a bunch of stuff at them.
Oh yeah, everyone in town is not very understanding of the embarrassing things.
They love this.
Oh yeah, this is like their TV, I guess, back then. It's like, oh, we got someone groveling today.
They're like giving things to the kids to throw at them and stuff.
Can you just imagine, like, there's
I'm taking my son to I took my son to my first grovel today.
Oh man, I remember the first time I took my son to a grovel. Oh man, great time to see those kids.
Father-son moment. Oh man. So anyway, here comes a very interesting scene for grovel.
So they what they have to do, they're at the finish line. Alfred's standing there. They're at the church steps or whatever, the palace steps. I'm not sure. But what they have to do at the finish line now to complete the grovel is to crawl on their knees, beg for forgiveness, and then fall and kiss the step of the church/palace. And Uhtred, this is his first one. He doesn't know what's going on. But Aethelwald, he's done this, like you said, he's done this a bunch of times before. Yeah. So he looks back at Uhtred and he's like, I'll lead, but you owe me one. So he goes up and he's like, and he just makes this great, like, grand speech that, like, he's apologizing. He's admitting he's a sinner, but he's making it very, very showboating. He's really kind of making it comical. He's like, oh, I've loved so many tits and oh, the tits, and he's saying all these things. I won't ruin it. I won't try and reenact it.
No,
it's a great scene.
It's hilarious.
But
you just don't see it coming either.
And So he goes up though. He falls down after his great speech, and Alfred is just kind of like disgusted that he has to tolerate this, so he just leaves. Yeah. And so Uhtred can just come on up, without anyone really bothering or to pay attention to what he does. And he comes up, and I don't think he gets on it. No, he tells Bjaka, "I will not get on my knees for your god," and he just leaves. Yep. And then Mildred's like, "Uhtred, you gotta do it. You gotta," and he's like, "I don't care, woman. I'm going out drinking and whoring." Yeah. And he's out drinking and whoring that night, and Leofric comes up to him though, and he's like, "Hey, it's really unfair that." Huh? Yeah, he's like, "It's really unfair that we aren't getting credit for being the ones who beat Udda." Right. Ubba, sorry. And he's like, hypothetically, don't agree to anything. What if we were Danes and we started raiding shit?
Yeah. What if we just on our own?
And Uhtred's like, what?
I didn't think about that. Wow.
They kind of show in the background too that Aethelwald, he's out drinking at the pub too that night. He's paying attention. So I mean that's really where that one ends. Then I think is.
Well, you know what it was? So Aethelwald is on the other side. It's that the girl that was sitting on Uhtred's lap when Leofric was like talking to them, I think went over and was whispering to Aethelwald, because otherwise because they were talking pretty quietly at their table, and you could see Aethelwald was like way on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
So I think that's how he found out that they were up to some stuff.
Yeah, good point. And actually, that's not where it ends. Uhtred then goes home the next day with his wife.
Man.
And they're going back home, and they see Oswald, their one tenant on their land, who's in Uhtred's bed doing the horizontal tango. He's out, and he's taking up a log to go to another estate somewhere. Uhtred's like, "What are you doing with that tree?" And he's like, "Oh, I take the logs up to, Joe up there," and he splits them. And Uhtred's like, "Why don't we just do it here?" And he's like, "Oh, he does it, Lord. He's always done it." Like, that's not an answer. Uhtred's like, "That's my tree. How much does he pay you for my trees, my timber?" And Oswald catches on like, "Oh, my game is up." He's been, taking from Uhtred, selling his own Uhtred's land to people, selling his resources to other people, and he's been profiting off it, Yeah. And just earlier he was in Uhtred's bed.
Yeah.
So Uhtred
he's already on thin ice.
Yeah. So he's on thin ice. Uhtred is also not very happy about just groveling, the day before, not getting his recognition.
Yeah.
And his wife is saying she's gonna baptize his kid and everything.
And he doesn't like that. That's right. Because he was like almost gonna let her baptize him. I think he wasn't happy about it, but before the grovel thing, I think he was a little bit more tolerable with it.
Yeah.
But after that, he was like, "My son will not be baptized."
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to baptize him, so it's just a whole thing.
Religion really comes between couples. So I mean, like.
So he, so she was in a bad mood.
He's in a bad mood.
He's in a bad mood, and
Oswald just pushed him over the edge, gave him an excuse to, like in the first episode where he's like, "I gotta kill somebody." This is another time where I've got to kill somebody. Oswald recognizes he's in deep doo-doo, starts running away. Uhtred runs him down and kills him with his horse, and then gets off.
Yes.
Slashes him for good measure too.
He flips his knife. Yeah. And then he turns, and this is how the episode ends. Oh man. That woman was justice. Justice. Justice.
Yeah. So that's episode 5.
That was, oh my god. Ooh.
Man, great.
I felt like we were flying through it.
So anyway, though, episode 6, Uhtred, Mildred, they're not doing so hot right now. They're a little mad.
They're going through couples therapy.
Yeah, but him and Leofric, they start out. They're setting up to go raiding and they did decide on doing that. And one of the funny things is he's not paying the Were Guild for Oswald. Uhtred is not paying the Were Guild. So after he killed Oswald, back then you're supposed to pay like a certain amount of money if you kill someone or if you do something to someone to the church. That way it's like okay, I guess. And Uhtred's like not doing that. So there's these like Oswald's kids are like sitting outside as him and Leofric are getting the horses ready, and Uhtred just like throws an apple at one of them. Just like it was hilarious. But anyway, they go out raiding his Danes. Then he's basically tells Mildred, "I loved you at one time, but I don't really love you anymore." Yeah. And they go out raiding his Danes. They take some helmets and they take off their crosses, and I think they're going to Cornwallum is where they go. But it's already been sacked. It's already been raided, so they don't get any good goods there. But they do get an offer from like a group of priests. King. Yeah, and it's King Peredur. Yeah, and he offers them a job to go take a fort for him. I should also mention Aethelwald too. He comes on this trip.
Yeah, he kind of came with them. He kind of snuck in, and half of the people wanted to kill him, but Uhtred's like, "Nah, we'll keep him."
Yeah.
We can kill him anytime if we wanted, but let's just.
If we want to, he's like, "I owe one."
Plus, he calls in the favor for helping Uhtred out with the grovel.
Exactly, taking the front of the grovel there.
Yes. So, Uhtred agrees. And when they get and they meet King Peredur at Cornwallum, it was Brother Asser who they met on the road.
Yeah.
And he led them to there. And he's got this like smoking hot queen, the king, and this other Danish queen. He's got two queens.
Yeah, so one of them is like his Saxon legitimate wife, and the other one is like a fortune teller that he has. She worships the old gods, and she's a seer, and she's really
just to be clear, his actual wife is like it's just like a toad.
I just got your joke. I'm sorry. I ruined it.
And then so like they're talking and stuff, and Uhtred like makes his offer, right?
Yeah.
And the king like isn't a fan of it, but he like calls his other queen, who's like a seer, right? Like a sorceress.
Yeah.
And she's a Dane, and she comes out, his other queen. And Uhtred is like immediately enamored by this sorceress. Not only is she, wearing stuff he likes, like a Dane style, right? She's also pretty good looking.
She's not hard to look at,
So he's definitely he like falls in love like immediately.
Yeah, he's really been also just resenting people who are very Christian and hearing all that stuff. So it was really refreshing to see a woman that in his head is like, "Ooh, this is perfect. She worships, the old gods, and she's Dane and she's pretty, and and she comes up to him and says, "Oh, this is the guy. This is the guy that'll, he'll win."
Yeah. So she tells that, and so the king agrees, and they're going to go and take on those Vikings that had sacked the village.
Well, they didn't know they were Vikings. He told them
that's true.
They were other Saxons, and also he said
it's true.
The reason they agreed to help him is he said he had silver in the fort. This was another thing too that really put into perspective for me, like the scale back then of battles and things, because I had always seen movies and other shows where anytime there was a battle, it was always like a huge army against another huge army.
Yeah.
But he's like, I got 20 guys, and they were like, we got 30 guys, and they're like, well, they got 50 guys, so that's perfect. And it's just like 50 on 50, like in your head, that's like I mean, that's a lot of people, but that's really our DPT class versus another school. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
then they go out and they're going to take it on, right?
yeah, they're going to take on the fort with the Brits in it, or the Saxons, I mean.
Yeah.
Or so they think.
Right. So they see the doors open and they see men ride out on horses, but it's kind of far away. So they tell Ethelwald to go up over the hill to see what it is. And Ethelwald just runs running back yelling, Danes!
Real Danes!
Real Danes! and so they go and they have a meeting. And Uhtred says something about this guy. He can already tell that this guy is like a warlord, just based on what he looks like.
Yeah, from far off, he sees him. He's like, "Oh, that's a warlord."
Yeah. And so we meet another pretty cool Viking. They go and they talk, and it's just Uhtred and Uhtred's men. It's not any of the Cornwallis King's men.
Nope.
So Uhtred, Skorpa's like talking to him, and
Skorpa's
like
the other Dane too.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so Skorpa is this
really
cool Dane who we meet.
He's got
Evil.
like red blood kind of thing
his
going on in his lip beard area, and he talks like this.
He's super scary looking.
Very evil looking.
Very evil and confident when he talks. And so he's a cool Dane. I think he's a kind of a cool villain.
He's not the same like category as Ubba as far as like how he acts, but he's definitely a cool Dane.
So he comes up with the idea like, well, why don't we join together and we find their silver together and we split their silver 50-50.
Yeah. This is kind of for me like a crappy this
moment.
whole episode is kind of a crappy, thing Uhtred does is, besides going raiding, because I kind of did want him to go Viking, but like you said, they decide that, hey, let's both gang up, kill the king. That way none of us have to die, and we can split the silver. And Uhtred, he's like, okay, yeah, sounds good. And just betrays a guy that, he said
he'd already given his word to. Yeah.
And they make it like it is a cool action scene as far as them fighting. But I mean, when you just see like the 50 and the 20 guys up against the other 20 guys with like pitchforks, like wooden pitchforks,
it's just like, oh,
this isn't a fair fight. Like, this isn't epic or anything. Like,
yeah. I know. So they do that and they just kill like all of them.
Yeah. Except the king. He's still alive, and
they do kill the king, I think.
Well, he tells them where the silver's at, and Skorpa's like, as a warlord, if you tell me where it's at, I'll let you live. And he tells him, oh, it's buried under my throne back at my house. And Skorpa just kills him.
Yeah.
They go back, and
apparently a warlord's word's not very good.
No, I apparently it's not, because I remember even Uhtred kind of looked at him like, that's not a saying.
Go back and they find, the silver under the throne.
Islet's just there chilling out, like, hey.
Yeah. And Isolde tells Uhtred that she had lied to Peredur because she had foreseen Uhtred would be the one that would free her. So she pretty much said she knew everything was going to happen. It happened. And that good old-fashioned warlord word that Skorpa gives, his word is a lore word.
A lore word.
Warlord. To give Uhtred 50-50, nah. Does not.
And he threatens to kill Islet, the Shadow Queen that Uhtred has fallen in love with. He's threatening her. He's like, let us go or I'll kill her. And Leofric's like, let's not fight them. We don't want any of our guys to die.
Right.
And let's let them go. And he whispers, Skorpa whispers in Islet's ear something. You don't hear what it is at the time.
Yeah.
And then they make off with the chest with all the treasure. And they're kind of like, oh, we just, here we are trying to raid, and we just betrayed that guy, and we didn't even get anything, and but they ride off, and Isolt's like, actually, there's more out there under the pile of chicken shit, and and there's just this giant pile of like mud and hay and stuff, and there's chickens on it, and they just push them off, and there's more treasure in there, so they make out in the end, you know.
Yeah, they do. They do. And Uhtred gets Isolt.
And he gets Isolt. So, also, from the chest, they find this like huge, like ornate silver cross. It's got like this ivory.
Another awesome scene.
Carving. Yeah.
This cross is like beautiful, like really stunning, and Uhtred knows exactly what he's going to do with that.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, brother Asser has just seen what they're doing, and he rides off. You know, the priest, he rides off, and he's going to be some trouble later.
Yes,
but
so Uhtred takes this relic to a church, and he's just kind of storming through, and someone's like, "No, they're praying, Lord, you can't disturb their prayer." And he like storms in this room, and they're all just like counting money. They're
bunch of like, priests.
All the priests are just greedily just counting coins and other treasures.
Just like a bunch of Smeagol's with the one ring in there.
Precious. And Uhtred whips out this cross, and the priest is just like, oh.
They're like, we're in prayer, don't disturb us. And all of a sudden he whips this out, and they're like, oh. Oh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Silver and a cross.
Yeah. And and so Uhtred pretty much makes that's pretty much going to cover all his debt.
Yeah, he's like, get rid of our debt, and also get rid of my weregild that I owe.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right. So Uhtred, seals up 2 of his problems there. He's feeling pretty good. He's got Isolt. He just paid off his debt. He went raiding instead of doing Alfred stuff.
And then he goes and he brings his new girlfriend home.
And his wife isn't happy about that, though.
She's not. She's not in it. Yeah, she's not into it. Not into it.
Viking men always, when they try and bring their new girlfriend home, their wife is never happy.
Right.
And you would expect that, I guess. But I guess Ragnar and Uhtred didn't seem to recognize that.
Yeah, like, what's wrong with this?
Uhtred's like, why can't we sleep in here? 3 of us in one bed. Come on.
Yeah.
Other kingdoms are doing it.
I can't wait to talk about Ragnar when Ragnar brought his new girlfriend home after his longtime wife with Lagertha, and they're sitting at the table, and Uhtred's like sitting in his chair like this, like super awkward because they're sitting on either side of him, and his new girlfriend's like, a lot of people do multiple wives, and Ragnar just is like, huh? Like, did you hear that? Hugging a goat.
Yeah, he had this therapy goat. The whole episode.
Goat that he just
missed that goat. What
happened to the goat?
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, we're talking about another show, Vikings.
Called Vikings, yeah.
Great scene with Ragnar when he brings home another a mystical woman.
Yeah, too. She was. Yeah, she was a seer.
Yeah,
a seer. But anyway.
Uhtred and Isolt, they have to sleep out in the stable then. Mildred is sad that her wife has basically abandoned her and her son. So she decides to leave, and she actually goes to stay with Otto then.
Yeah.
Uhtred then goes to Wessex because he was summoned there by Alfred.
Right.
And he gets there and he finds out brother Asser had, who saw Uhtred working for the king doing Dane stuff,
right?
And eventually saw him betray his king back in Cornwall. And he told Alfred and everything what happened. And but he was also saying that Uhtred went to the new church that was constructed on Ubba's burial site and desecrated it, which was not true.
Yeah.
That was actually Scorpa. Scorpa had heard about the new church from some other guys or from Uhtred or something. So it was probably him that went and did it. But anyway, no one's going to believe Uhtred now because everyone saw him doing this. They even get Leofric, which is like, Leofric comes up and says, like Leofric donated all of his treasure to the church, which is a get out of jail free card in this society. And and then
and this was kind of a heartbreaking moment.
Yeah,
because we had really grown to like Leofric.
Yeah,
but
I was
so
really
you're
mad.
kind of taken aback at first.
Yeah, we were mad at first. We
Because
were like, this is not
Leofric
very
pretty
bro
much-
moment of you, bro.
Yeah, he's turning Uhtred in. He's like telling him everything, and
They just want to execute Uhtred, though. Like, probably even torture back then, pulling your guts out and things like that.
well, Uhtred won't, and Uhtred like refuses to beg for forgiveness.
Yeah.
To like kneel and beg for forgiveness, and
he's
so
not doing
Alfred
that again.
Alfred has to kill him. Alfred's like, I tried, but I got to kill you. And Leofric comes up with the idea to have a fight to the death with Leofric and Uhtred instead of just like having a public execution of Uhtred.
Yeah.
Because he deserves dignity as a warrior.
Yeah. Plus, too, that's
And-
the Viking way to go out. He knows
Viking
that
way.
Uhtred will. Even he says, this way you can go with your gods and you can go to Valhalla.
Leofric says something that Alfred just cannot refuse.
What's
He says that God would be on his side.
Oh yeah,
So
and then that just gets them all just
Alfred's just that he knows how to hook Alfred.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. He's like, well, I should win. God's on my side, right? And everyone's like, oh yeah, he's got a point. And
yeah, so
Leofric's also
kinda
very
wraps up
confident
the
too.
episode. Yeah, Leofric pretty much tells Uhtred like, I'm not gonna let you. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna win. It's gonna be me, hands down. I'm gonna kill you, but I'll give you the death you deserve. And like at this point, I'm like, we know you're a good fighter, but like Uhtred killed Ubba, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Leofric's another big dude though. He's very skilled. Good matchup out at the very least. Good matchup.
Yeah.
I don't think Uhtred's afraid of anybody.
No.
So
I don't know. This one was kind of a cool episode. It wasn't one of my favorite ones, but I didn't really have any like moments that really stood out as my favorite moment or anything from this. I mean, my favorite bro moment's probably just when Leofric, even though he turns Uhtred over, he says, "Let's fight to the death." At least give him that. You know what I mean? So that's at least like a bro move there. What about you?
Yeah. I think that's the one I thought of. Really
favorite moment from the show.
I like
from
meeting
this
Scorpa.
episode?
I thought Scorpa was a cool Viking. He's a bad dude, but I liked meeting him and getting. We lost Ubba in the last one, so it was cool to meet another super bad character. And I thought I liked Scorpa as a Viking, so I'd say that.
Good point.
I'd say that. I mean, I think the whole bro thing of the episode is that like Leofric actually like decided to go and they had the idea last episode, but they actually did it in this episode, go raid and stuff, which I never thought Leofric would do.
Too, it was his idea too. He was the one that came over to Uhtred and was like, hypothetically, what if we go out raiding? And then at the end, he's like, Uhtred did this. This was all Uhtred. I donated all my shit to the church. I don't know what he's thinking. Oh, man. Yeah. Solid episode.
It's a solid. I mean, there's not a bad. I don't think there is a bad episode in any of them.
No.
This one compared to like the last one, not as much happens, but you still get introduced to a few new characters that are cool, and
get some action.
Yeah.
Get some twists going on.
Yep. Moving into episode 7, we got this battle that's about to go down between Leofric and Uhtred.
Yeah, this is his execution battle then. But Alfred does actually pull Uhtred aside before the fight, and I remember he's there with his family. Not Uhtred. Alfred has also had a new son recently too, by the way. I think we forgot to say. So Alfred's there with Aelswith. He also has a daughter. Oh my gosh, I can't. Aethel.
With Edward? Aelswith. Oh,
Aelswith's his wife. Whose daughter?
Edward. Oh,
No, remember, because the Viking from season 3, what's he say? He's like, Ethelfled, that's it. And his daughter Ethelfled. He's got Aelswith, Ethelfled. Both his kids are over there playing by the window. He pulls Uhtred over and he's like, I think he gives them, you should swear like further years loyalty to me, or and then beg for forgiveness, and then like I want to keep you in service.
And to abandon Iseult.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
She's a pagan in his eyes.
Correct.
And Uhtred knows that if he did that Iseult would probably be killed.
So he says no to this, and so the fight's on. It's a fight to the death between Uhtred.
It's pretty raw. They get to a point where they just start punching each other. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's points where there's parts where they're like holding Uhtred back too, and he has to like fight people off in the crowd. They even like get to like the cages where him and Brita were hanging in one of the episodes before, and there's like a woman in there who holds Uhtred, and he like stabs her, and like it's a real like solid fight. And they get down to their fists and they're just punching each other, but then all of a sudden the Danes have invaded. Like they've just invaded.
So while you're watching it, all of a sudden you see Brita is like in the crowd.
Yeah.
And she gets on her horse and takes off, which sends a signal to the Danes, who like swoop in, and they come in from the trees and they're ready to invade Winchester.
Yeah. The last kingdom here, man. It's they thought they were all good and safe, and so they come and invade. They're tearing up the place. Alfred actually walked away from the fight pretty much like as soon as it started, because he really likes and respects both of them, and I don't think he really likes violence
to do it
either.
Set a precedent,
He's really, his long-term plan, since even before he became king, was to, bring some more law and order to the land, unite England. He doesn't really care about this stuff. This isn't the thing that's on his list. It's really just he's got to keep his king personality, his front up.
Right.
So he's like, I'm not watching this. Let's go take the kids over there. Let's go play, and we'll go for a walk. And Aelswith's like, we got tickets to this.
Come on. We pay good money for these seats.
We don't have DVR for this, man. Oh, God, okay. So they leave, actually, and, they're already getting safe before the Danes start invading.
Yeah.
And, but now, the Danes raiding actually breaks up the fight. Leofric's like, the fight's over, Arsling, let's go. So then they're buddies again. They go, and they take Iseult and they hide up in a shed.
Yeah.
Danes are out doing their Dane things, raping, pillaging, and they're like, let's just hold out here. But then a nun or an abbot, Hild, is brought in by a group of Danes. They start, doing their Dane things to her, unfortunately. But then Iseult jumps down, and, she's like, I'm not letting this happen. So she jumps down, stabs a guy right in the eye who's doing the deed. And then
pretty raw.
So the guys jump down then too. They kill the guys, and then Hild just goes off the handle then, and this nun he just starts stabbing the crap out of that one Dane who was raping her. And and then the three of them, or the four of them actually, start to leave Wessex or Winchester there, and they run into Brita actually on the way out.
That's right.
And Brita, she's always been mad at Uhtred for not choosing the Danes over the Saxons, and has always been mad.
But they also have so much history together.
Yeah.
You know.
But this is kind of where they're really officially over the. She is an ally to him in the future too, but this is like the first time that
relationship.
She actually considers, alerting the Danes that he's there, and to kill him. But she does let him go. She tells him, what gate to go out of, where there's no guards or whatever, and so they run out. They escape, and then they're actually heading somewhere down the road, and they see some Danes attacking a group of priests getting into a boat.
Yeah.
So they decide to help these priests. They kill the Danes, and then they hop in a boat. More Danes are coming, so they get the boat going. And it turns out Alfred is sitting in the boat with them.
Yeah, with his hood up. Yeah, and he took it off, and Uhtred just like unleashes on him here, because like Alfred, he's like, "What are you king of now?" Like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alfred's telling him like, we're gonna do this, and Uhtred's like, where were your spies? You should have been doing this. And Alfred's like, I'm a king, you can't talk to me. And Uhtred just keeps laying it on to him. He's like, the king of what, Lord?
Yeah.
The king of what? You're a king of nothing.
Yeah.
Wessex is taken. Winchester's taken. You are king of nothing.
Yeah.
And it really puts him in. It makes him sort of get some perspective too. Like, oh yeah, like
it does. He kind of shuts up. He's like,
yeah,
he's right. So
beautiful shot too here when they're on the boat.
They're on the boat.
Zoom out. Uhtred's just pedaling down. It's
like a drone shot or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, I like some of the shots too. Like when they're in Winchester, they do like drone, like bird's eye view shots of the streets, like from the top. It's cool. It's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they go to like a sort of safe haven, kind of like backup place.
It's in the swamp marshlands.
Yeah, they do that in Vikings too. Remember?
Yeah, I think this is again. So we talked about in the last episode that a lot of this actually revolves around some true historical events, but it just has the fiction of Uhtred in it, and some of the characters are made up. But like Ubba was a real Viking raider at the time. Guthrum was another real one. Alfred, he was a real king, and he actually the kingdom did fall, and he actually was in the marshlands, hiding out then during this time period. So this is
it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do go to the marshlands, and they're dealing with some issues there. Like they don't think that there's anybody out there that's gonna come help them. And another thing is that Alfred is dealing with his own health issues. He still has that stomach issue, and then also his new son Edward is very sickly. Edward is pretty sick, and so first what happens is they're all just kind of chilling there, and Iseult is there, and she like randomly offers Alfred this sort of tonic like made out of plants. It's like a plant-based drink.
Yeah, she's like, it just came from the earth. Everything
just came from the earth.
Came from the earth.
Yeah. And so Alfred I guess he's sort of at a state of like desperation,
Mm-hmm.
It's like his stomach's getting pretty bad. He's worried about his son, so he just kind of gives in, and it works. Like next time we see Alfred after we see him drinking that, he like tells them he hasn't had the issue that he's been having.
Yeah. We don't know if it's exactly how long the time period is they're there.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to tell right
or
there.
Weeks or something.
I would guess it was
been there.
Yeah, and I would guess it was not just one time. I would guess it was like, he'd been doing that for a little while at least.
Yeah. But it seems like they're all kind of like actually on the same level now. Like Alfred, after like he starts feeling better, he's like eating breakfast with them, and
yeah, he's like coming over like out of his like little tent like that his wife and child are in, and he comes out and just like hanging out with like the crew, Yeah, and they're just talking. It's kind of cool to see them like that. And it's just it's crazy that he took this, like his wife is like mad that he drank the pagan, juice or whatever.
Yeah.
And
because
criticizes them, and he's like,
they just want the priest to pray for them. And because right now too, his son, who is very sick, just keeps coughing and crying. All the priests are praying for him, but they're not really taking any steps to do anything for him. They're not taking any real physical interventions.
And Isolde tells Uhtred, and they also tell Alfred, like, there might be a way, like, if you let me try something, I might be able to help your son. Just like I helped you with your stomach, like I have another idea for your son. And so Alfred, like, initially is like very hesitant because he knows she is pagan. He doesn't want to trust with that, but he's also like, she did help me. I'm getting really desperate. We don't know what's wrong with my son. So he kind of wants to do it. But Aelswith is just like, no. Aelswith is just like, absolutely not. And so Alfred's like also still super hesitant about it.
I think in another couple of days or however long goes by, and it eventually gets to the point where their son isn't crying. Alfred even says, I can't feel his heart really beating as much. It feels really soft.
Like he's losing him.
Really hot. He's got a real fever.
And you can the actor does such a good job. Like Alfred looks like he's in despair.
Yes.
Like he just looks like a lost father. Like just helpless. He can't help his son. And Uhtred being a bro is just like, let her take him, Lord. Like, she can help. She can help. So Alfred finally gets on board with this,
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I think Uhtred tells at some point, he's like, it's got to be tonight, though. Like, it's got to be tonight.
And he recognizes, like, his son's going to die unless they actually do something.
Yeah. And so Uhtred, being the bro that he is, is trying to help out, even though Alfred's been so bad to him. It's just Uhtred's just does the right thing,
Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah. But yeah, Uhtred's being a good guy to Alfred here. And they decided to take his son out, and they have like this little stretch of like mud out near the waters of the swamp. And Isolde tells Uhtred, I'm going to do this, but to help this kid, a kid somewhere else is going to have to die.
And Uhtred's like, well, we have to.
I don't know this kid. Let's do it, Yeah. And anyway, they take him in there. They put him in this, like, on the ground in the mud, and that night, and they leave him out there, the whole night or whatever. And they wake up in the morning. Alfred's like, "Where's my kid?" And he runs out there, and Isolde's over the kid, and she hands him to Alfred, and he's like, "I can feel his heart beating. His fever's gone." And like, oh my gosh! And all the priests come running, and they're like,
Bianca's like,
"This was from God. This was God.
Praise him. Praise him." It's a pretty funny scene when Bianca's like, "Praise God."
Wasn't the pagan stuff. This was God.
Yeah. This was God.
Oh, God. Yes. Good job with the God. God.
And that's just a
Did
cool
you
moment.
Think this was a magic moment? Because it kind of leaves it up to, was this magic?
Again, I think everything in it is up for interpretation. I take it all as like there's rational explanation for each of them, but it feeds into their beliefs,
Exactly.
Just like for things they can't explain. There might be, a lot of religion in the past has just kind of filled in holes for things they can't explain, right?
Exactly.
So for them, like, maybe just putting the baby in a cold surface. I don't know what else she was doing with the baby in the mud. I
Probably gave him medicine too,
She may have done stuff like that. Like,
were they in a muggy, hot temperature, in
the swamp, right?
Mosquitoes and things. Was that what was making them act up?
Yeah.
And just being in somewhere cool. Did that help them?
Yeah.
So that, like you said, I think it was meant to be up for interpretation.
I think there could be, but I'm just saying there could be a rational explanation for why they made the baby feel better.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is they're not outright saying it was definitely the science that did it, but they say specific hints too, like, oh, he's not as hot, and it's like, well, he was on the cool ground all night, maybe that helped,
Maybe, yeah.
So they don't outright say, "Ooh, it's the magic that did it," and they don't say, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Kids got sick and died all the time back then. I mean,
right.
There's one point where Alfred's wife and Uhtred's wife are in a church, and they're like, "I pray we both live through childbirth."
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine that back then? Just being like such a risk that you're like, I hope I don't die.
Yeah.
Giving birth.
It's crazy.
Like, oh, man.
So it's a cool moment,
After that, Alfred starts to, pull himself together again. His son's back. He's feeling better. And they basically, say, hey, we need to, send out some letters to all of our allies, get them all together.
Yep.
For one huge attack on the Danes. We need to get everyone back, and then that's how we're going to get our kingdom back. So Uhtred and gang, they see a bunch of Vikings in the swamp. They lure them into a very complicated trap and then kill them all.
Cool, yeah.
I think they burn all of his
brilliant strategies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they burnt the boats, and then really cool scene where they're in the high grass, and Uhtred's plan is to get the men to run into the swamp area and get trapped into like a marsh, like where the water comes up to their waist, and there Uhtred was going to have people come out with bows and arrows and just kill them in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a pretty cool scene because Uhtred has all his men there, and they antagonize them by shooting arrows near them, and Uhtred's like, I'll tell you when to start running. And like he waits for him to get super close. And then he's like, okay, go now. And they go on a huge chase. And they know, the Danes don't know the paths. Uhtred knows the paths really well.
Mm-hmm.
So he leads his men, on the firm paths, and it's like inevitable that these Vikings are going to run into these traps where
they're sprinting full force trying to keep up, and then when they cut and change direction, they're still going, and they fall into the mud, and then a bunch of bowmen come out, finish them off, or Uhtred gets any that are near the edge.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
It was really cool, and it's really cool shot that like the camera's moving through the weeds with them, and you can't see what's going on, the tall grass. But like when they were like, "Don't kill any of them," though, I was kind of like, "But why? That's their goal, is to lure them in. Like if we could just kill them all right here, why wouldn't we just start doing that?" I don't know if it was to make sure everyone came after them and got away from the boats or what. I don't know. But I was kind of like, well, why don't we just start hitting them with the arrows right now? And then when they still run after you?
That's a good point. I wonder if there's a reasonable explanation for that. I'm trying to think.
I don't know. I don't know if because the first book ended, a few episodes back. So I don't know if the book had like a different rationale, or I don't know if that even happened in the book.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Good point.
So there may be.
Why not just start picking them off right there? Just a few less you have to worry about. Yeah, I don't know.
Another thing that the book, speaking of the book too, that does explain that when we were watching the show, at this point we were like, these are like the first guys with bows and arrows that we've seen.
Yeah,
remember?
I was like, because they were like other Danes when they were getting away on the river.
Yeah,
and they were going toward the swamp, and like there were just Danes on the shore, like looking at them, and I was just like, it's like, haven't these people ever heard of bows and arrows? Like.
Well, in the book, they actually explain that like a real someone who's actually good with a bow and arrow is actually very rare, because it's really hard to be accurate back then.
Oh yeah.
With the materials they had. So like Uhtred even says like having a good bowman is very rare, and that he himself is not a good bowman.
Yeah.
So that actually kind of did help explain that, because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, we've got a bunch of guys. Like, what if we even had like a couple guys back there with a bow, doing some damage? But it makes sense, It's actually a skill back then. I'm not saying it's not a skill now for any hardcore archery people. It's not as easy as it looks. No.
I enjoy shooting a bow, but it definitely took me a little while to get the hang of it.
Yeah.
So
and especially to hit someone that's like charging at you or
moving target.
Yeah, or something 100%. Like that. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. So,
but So yeah, that's where it ends. Then they burn all the ships, and they're on a way to, hopefully
hopefully the priests that were sent out will come back with more men. People
send
will
some
stand
more
with
letters.
Alfred.
Yeah. So that was a solid episode. I mean, it was kind of really a setup then for
but it's
the
got a lot
last
of those
one.
cool intricacies of the religion, and where convincing Alfred to like buy into some pagan
It was a good
ritualistic stuff was
Uhtred
cool.
Alfred relationship building.
Yeah, it was a really good building episode for that. And again, it wasn't as jam-packed as like episode 5, but it's still not boring at all.
No. Probably my favorite moment and my favorite bro moment actually are when Alfred is like bonding and started really appreciating Uhtred at this time, and really recognizing that Uhtred has sacrificed a lot on his own too, even though he, isn't always extremely grateful and his loyalty might be questionable. He has, sacrificed a lot of his own time, effort, and things like that. So that was my stuff from there.
Yeah, I think my bro moment in this is just Uhtred going up to him again and just being like, "Lord, let us help you with your baby."
Yeah,
I think that would be it for me, because I mean, Uhtred like has every right not to like be nice to Alfred like at all, because of what Alfred's put him through.
I don't know how to help your son.
And he just, and like, even when Alfred and Elswith said no at first, like Uhtred kept pushing, like, let us help, So, yeah, man, good episode. We've got the season finale, episode 8.
Season finale. This is this is it then. They get off. They go and they meet their group, Alfred and them. They meet up with, I think, Wolf here and a few other people. But then they say, let's go out. Some of you try and get some more men, bring it back. We're going to go to Otter's house. We're going to try and get them to help us out. And then we're going to send letters and everything like that for our one last defining battle. Meanwhile, Guthrum is in Winchester. He's got the house now there.
Yes.
He's, and Aethelwald actually has stuck around, and he comes up like wearing Alfred's crown at one point, saying like, "I'm the king. You can deal with me."
Yes.
And he just
takes
the crown off his.
He whips it off his head.
He just like brushes it, takes it. But while he's there, Guthrum, Ragnar, and Brita are asking about Alfred, and they eventually say to Aethelwald, like, "Hey, you should go kill Alfred then. Since you don't like him, that would help us out." So Aethelwald goes to do that then.
They give him a knife, right?
Yeah. Uhtred and company, they're going back, and then they're trying to meet up. I think they're meeting up again with Wolf here. At least they're supposed to, but he's not there. Wolf here's gone from where they're supposed to meet up, and instead, their guy
Alec
is still there.
Yeah,
and he's actually a future bro for Uhtred, season 2.
Yeah, and
this is actually the first time we meet him. I didn't realize this is where he gets into the group, but this is actually where he comes in. They meet him there. He's like, "I don't know, Wolf here went somewhere, I don't know where." And so they're like, "All right, let's go back. Let's go meet Otta." But I think they did find out there's a peace between the Danes and Otta or something.
Well, yeah. So, there was, and they show Otta had made a peace with the Danes, specifically Skorpa.
Yeah, Skorpa.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's a scene where young Otta... Young Oda. The older Oda is at his estate, but he's still injured, still recovering.
In-home
Mildred
therapy right now.
And interesting, Mildred is there, and she's like converted to a nun.
Yeah.
And she's like satisfied with it, and Lord Oda is just like, "Are you sure this is the life you want for yourself?" And she's like, "I have found peace, with this." But when does Uhtred go home? I'm trying to remember.
So actually, it's after they get Otta's gang. So they first go to the Otta estate.
Okay. So but we see young Otta had already met with Scorpa and his men and like invited them to like a dinner, and they could talk about like joining together, right?
Yeah, I think his intention was for him, young Otta, to end up becoming like the Dane puppet king of Winchester. That's his like end goal for their alliance. So they're hoping for a dinner for that. So Alfred, Leofric, Iseult, and Bjorka ride up to Otta's house.
Yeah.
And also, I think no, it's later. Never mind. So they ride up to Otta's house and they tell Alfred to wait outside. We don't know what it's like in there. Uhtred and Leofric go in, and they get in there.
Yeah.
And young Otta just starts making very treasonous statements, just outright saying, "Yeah, I'm working with the Danes. Alfred isn't our king anymore. He ran away."
Yeah. Well, Alfred was like, "I need to go in there," though.
Yeah.
Alfred was so he like put his hood up and tried to go incognito, and he headed in there without anybody really realizing he was there. And you're right, like Oda starts bad mouthing Alfred, young Oda.
Yeah.
And the older Oda, his dad is there too.
Mm-hmm. And he actually sees Alfred in the hood out in the crowd.
He notices Alfred there.
He's like, "Ooh, this isn't going to go over well."
Yeah. Because I do think the older Oda, even though he wasn't calling the shots as much anymore, it didn't seem, at least, I think he did know about the peace with the Danes. And
he did say when Leofric and Uhtred was at the door, he's like, "Is it the Danes?" So I was like, "Oh, he must have kind of known what was going on."
Yeah. But I think he also was probably told by his son, like, some things that weren't true.
Yeah, he's probably told Alfred's dead. The Danes are
our only
running the country
hope
now. We've got to do this. And then I think part of it is, when he sees Alfred, he's like, "Oh, we can come back. We can come back from this. We have hope now." And I've got to listen to him.
What he does next, I did not expect at all. So while young Oda's going off, you just see his dad pull out a knife. And you're like, I wonder who he's going to kill. He kills his son.
Kills his own son.
Yeah. Just totally. We were in awe when that happened.
I did not think that was coming.
No. And Oda is like, Alfred, steps up, and Oda is like, "Forgive him. Please forgive my son." And Alfred just like will not forgive him.
It's like, "I will not let these deeds be forgiven," or something like that. Or man, it's just, oh man,
what a scene.
Yeah,
what a scene. So now he's got Lord Otta's men now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that peace is no more.
Oh yeah, so when they're riding out then with Otta's men, they run into Scorpa, who's coming to the dinner. And Scorpa's like, "Oh, are we not invited to dinner anymore?" Or something like that.
He got like his mac salad that he had prepared, to contribute, and
the brownies.
Yeah, one of his other men got brownies, and
have to have brought brownies.
Yeah,
good ones. Oh, he makes the best ones. But they're out there and they run into Uhtred and them leaving after the whole ordeal, and they're like, "We're not partnering with you. You get out of here. We're gonna kill you." And then Scorpa actually says then, trying to get Uhtred's goat, says, "Hey, did you hear your sister, Thyra? Tura. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to say it after I've seen it spelled. She's actually up at Carton's, and she's getting sexually abused and everything." And Bjorka like yells. Yeah. He's like,
Yeah, this like comes out of nowhere right here.
Byaku's like, your mother should have kept her legs closed.
Also, Byaku before this, I think, had like asked Alfred if like he could be like Uhtred's conduit to God or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So before they got to Oda, Brother Acer was saying that we can't trust Uhtred. He doesn't have a soul. He's a pagan. And Byaku is like, I will be his soul. I will be with him in every battle. I'll be with him every step of the way. Like, I will be his conduit to God. Yeah. And so Byaku's a real freaking bro.
So then Byaku, huge bro moment, and just starts talking smack. And you just don't see it coming because to this point Byaku's been kind of borderline annoying priest.
Yeah.
He's like Uhtred loves him and stuff, but he's also been kind of a pain in the butt sometimes.
He's always kind of been on Uhtred's side though. Like when Uhtred went charging in, he's always happy on Uhtred. He's always telling the king, trust Uhtred, but he didn't tell Uhtred about Mildred's huge debt. He didn't. True. He has been, like you said, he's been kind of an annoying priest. Nowhere near as annoying as like the greedy ones that were in that the one church with all the silver. I
can't think of a time after this that we ever don't like him again.
He's instantly
perfect. From this point on, he's like a bro forever.
Yes, he becomes one of Uhtred's like bro groups, even though he's not like one of Uhtred's warriors.
Right.
He's definitely in his like bro group.
So he so he's talking smack to Scorpa, who like I would not talk smack to. And Scorpa's like, I will come for you, priest.
and Byaku's like, I will not be hard to find on the battlefield or something like that.
Yeah, he's just
And everyone just looks at him, and Alfred's like, after they leave, he like looks at Byaku and he's like, you're gonna have to wash your mouth out, Byaku.
Yeah.
And Byaku's like, yes, with a glass of ale. Like, he's just on it now.
Yeah.
He's just on it, man. This Byaku gets
huge turning point there for Byaku.
Oh man, he's on it. He's on it from this episode on.
And he's pumped. He is pumped for this battle.
Yeah.
So
then now they're heading back, and they decide it's the safest route to go through Uhtred's house on the way to they're heading to Ethington. That's where they're heading. So they decide to go to Uhtred's house on the way there. Oh, and Uhtred talked to... Oh, no, wait. Maybe they did. Maybe they went to his house first before this. Maybe I got it all backwards. But anyway, at some point, though, they go back to Uhtred's house.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was before, but...
Yeah, I think I'm wrong. I think you're right. I think they went there before, and then they went to Oda's, because they get back to the house, and Uhtred sees that his kid's dead, and Isolt's telling him...
There's a grave in the back, and he like digs it out, and
he finds dead baby Uhtred, and he cries.
Very sad scene. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Brutal.
So that actually happens before. Yeah, you were right. I was wrong. Because when he sees Mildred back at Oda's place, he tells her, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, and she's like, I'm over it. I'm done now. We're done. You and me, we're done forever. So that's really the end of their relationship. Their son's dead. Their relationship's dead, and I mean, so they kind of leave it up in the air. Like, was it saving Alfred's kid is what took his kid away, and but they kind of leave that up in the air because, kids died all the time back then.
Exactly. That's another great example.
In today's society, kids get sick all the time until they're 10. It's just normal. But
and
back then, if you were getting that all the time, you're gonna die. Yeah.
Yeah, it's way more of a risk back then to get sick as a kid, right?
Yeah.
So, especially that young of a kid,
Yeah.
So
anyway, Isolt then, takes Uhtred out into the woods, and she's like, I've just got to get rid of these powers because they're
So I don't think we talked about this before, but ever since we met her, the king in Cornwall told Uhtred that her powers are only she only has them because she's a virgin. So yeah.
So to keep her powers, she has to stay a virgin. So she's like, Uhtred, there's only one way we can get rid of these powers because I am just sick of them. I'm just sick of them. And so she just takes her robe off, and he's like, "Whatever I've got to do."
Yeah.
And it's just a real hot scene between Isolde and Uhtred, baby.
And I thought Isolde told him about Tira.
Yeah, this is where she actually tells him.
That's what Scorpa had whispered into the ear.
Yeah. I'm sorry, viewers. I got it all twisted around. So this happened before.
Scorpa, I think, did talk crap about it, though.
He was getting on Uhtred's goat, but Uhtred had already found out from Isolde at this point, because she told him after their hot lovemaking scene by the fire that she's like, "Oh, by the way, your sister's alive."
Yeah.
That's what he told me. And she's like, "Ooh, I had a vision. It was my last vision."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, Isolde smoking hot there. Man. I tell you what, too. I remember the first time we watched this, we were like, "Whoa, are we watching porn right now?" Do you remember?
Yeah, that one's.
But it's actually, I mean, it's. Don't let your kids see this, everyone. But it's not as revealing actually as what I thought. You actually only see her from the back, really. Like anytime you see her from the side, I think her hair's on her boob. So like
in between Vikings, which was on cable, so there's like nothing, and Game of Thrones, which is like everything.
Yeah. But there's definitely a lot of pelvic motion and nakedness. But yeah, you don't actually see any. I don't think you actually see any private parts. I don't even think you see a real nipple besides Uhtred's nipples.
Oh, and this one specifically?
Yeah,
because you do in the show.
You definitely see nipples in the show. But I
can't remember specifically.
I was paying real close attention to this time. I was watching real hard. You know.
How many times did you rewind it?
No. No. But no, not a chance. Absolutely not. But yeah, you actually don't see a lot. But I mean, it's still, an adult scene, everyone. So, be mature about it, like I am. So it's art. Get over it, everyone.
It's only natural.
It's only natural. Everyone does it. So anyway, then. So that actually happened before they went to Otter's. So everything you heard, switch that around, and now we're back on it. So anyway, Alfred, he sent off Uhtred's future bro Halig and the nun Hild and brother Asser out on a mission to send letters to all of his allies saying, "We need to get together at Ethington, lead our big battle against the Vikings. Meet me there. P.S. There'll be cookies. Come.
Free pizza.
Free pizza. Pizza for everyone."
That's how they got us to go to things in college.
Oh yeah.
That's what I did. I needed a bunch of people for a music video I shot one time, and I bought a few pizzas, and I was like, free pizza if you sit in the audience for a music video I'm shooting.
That's smart.
I got a bunch of people turned out. So
that's smart.
The other thing in college was free T-shirts.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I bet Alfred probably did that too, like free.
I was at the Battle of Ethington T-shirt.
Yeah, free. I was at the battle T-shirt with a sponsor on the back.
Just
blacksmith. God.
Or the blacksmiths.
Yeah.
Like one of them's God, one of them's like,
of course,
Joe the
church.
Blacksmith.
Yeah. God will be a big one, big sponsor of the Catholic Church. That's how Alfred would get a bunch of men to meet at St. Egbert's Stone.
Yeah.
So that was the meeting place. Pretty cool scene though. How it happens is like Alfred is like pretty much standing at the top of this hill, like looking over the skyline, the trees, the horizon, like.
Before that happens too, Aethelwald.
Yeah, well, he was looking, but Aethelwald came up, right? He showed up. Right.
And he looks like he's gonna go stab him.
Yeah, he like pulls the knife out, and then
Alfred said something, and he doesn't. And so Aethelwald's with him now.
Yeah, Aethelwald kind of chickens out. Yeah. And Alfred's out there looking over the horizon, and he's kind of like, no one came. No one's here at first. But then he's looking and he's like, something's changed. You know, something in the air has changed here. Do you see it? Do you hear it? And sure enough, men start showing up. This cool moment, and Alfred's like pumped. Alfred's like, yeah. No, not really, but he's pretty excited that men have come to support him, and then oh my God, Alfred gives an awesome speech.
Great freaking speech.
Great.
I posted this on our Instagram when I was watching it. I actually this is actually something I really did rewind and watch a few times. Great scene. Great battle scene. And actually Uhtred gives him some pointers before that. He's like, don't tell the men. Don't talk about God. Don't talk about the good religion and stuff. These are guys that want to, hear about what they're going to get out of it. They want to hear that they're going to kill some Danes, that they're going to win, that they're going to get silver. Say some things like that, man.
Yeah.
And then so
good
Alfred,
advice.
Alfred uses that in he makes some notes, some revisions on his speech.
It's a good example of like before this, Alfred was mostly stuck up, was doing things on his own, not taking a lot of advice, being careful with it. And in this one, he's like really started to trust Uhtred. He took some advice from Beocca. I like this part of it where he says Beocca tells him, he's telling Beocca he's worried that people don't see him as a warrior, as a leader to fight against this army, and he's just asking for a little bit of guidance. And Beocca says, well, maybe when you ask somebody to do something, put a hand on their shoulder.
Oh yeah, when he says when you have the messengers go.
Yeah, when you have the messenger, maybe put a hand on their shoulder and empower them. Yeah, empower them. And so he does that, and it's kind of funny. The first person he does that to, like, he puts his hand on their shoulder, and they just like look like it's weird.
It was Brother Astor, I think.
It was Brother Astor. Yeah,
because I think that was when he was fighting with Beocca about Uhtred, and I think Alfred was kind of like, I'm tired of hearing about you ripping on Uhtred, and he's like, you will be one of my messengers, and he's just kind of like, shit. But then when he does it to Hild and Halig, like when he puts it on Halig just lights up. He's like,
Alex,
yeah,
it's cool. It's like a cool little piece of advice that Alfred's like, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, you're right.
I think that's kind of a bro moment.
I think his
Uhtred giving him
at the swamp really helped open him up to some other people in his life besides just the priests and things like that.
I agree. Yeah, and
I mean, but the traditional priest, Beocca's a priest, but
right. And so they so they have like a better relationship now. He actually like listens to Uhtred's advice about giving a speech. Mm-hmm. It's like the little things in the show like that I love. You know, these little like things about their relationship. Oh, it's just awesome. So, no mercy.
Yeah, that's his awesome speech ends up having a theme near the end where he's like, and they will get no mercy, and then just everyone starts chanting that, coming over the hill, and all the Danes are just seeing all these Saxons united. Guthrum's army, Ragnar's there, Brida's there. They're just seeing them. Oh, and Scorpa's there, and they're just seeing them.
And then it just starts playing dun 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 dun
and it's a cakewalk after that.
They got the loudspeakers out. They're just
the dancing girls out front.
And now in this corner, followed by his 2,000 men, weighing 130 pounds, standing at 5'5", Alfred of Wessex. And in this corner, boo, boo, weighing 240 pounds. 6'4", Scorpa and Guthrum. So the battle's about to begin.
They're up there screaming no mercy, and the Danes are like, fine, there's not going to be any mercy then. We're not going to give any mercy then either. And
another thing they reveal here too is that Wolf here is over on the Dane side.
Wolf here switched sides. That's why he wasn't at the
he like independently just switched on his own.
Yeah, he was like the only one there.
And now he's like looking over and seeing the amount of Saxons, and like definitely know he was regretting that decision.
Yeah.
And
the shield wall forms up
on
front.
Both sides.
We have shield walls form on both sides. Huge shield wall too. Huge, tons of guys. Uhtred, Leofric, Halig, Aethelwald are all some guys that are up front on the Saxon side, and then Wolf here. I think Brida's near the front too. I think Ragnar's up front too on the Saxon side, and Guthrum's in the back, and Alfred's in the back. Yeah,
Alfred's in the back.
Yeah, Scorp is standing back, but the two sides clash.
Biaka's up there.
Yeah, Biaka's in the mix. He's not up in the front of the shield wall.
Front line, but he's up there, you know?
Yeah.
Most other priests are staying back.
Biaka actually did say to Scorpa too earlier, like, my spear will find you or something like that too, when they were trash talking each other. And he's got a spear and a club. Like at this thing. Like a priest is in there. Because he's in there for Uhtred, like he said he was going to be. Just cool dude. He's screaming no mercy too. Oh man, it's sick.
It's awesome. You think what's at stake for all those people?
Yeah.
On the Saxon side. Like that's their home they lost.
Mm-hmm.
They're fighting for they're fighting for everything they've got.
They got evicted without like any notice.
Yeah, like Guthrum showed up, knocked on the door, was like, "Yeah, you guys got to leave.
You didn't pay your bill.
Yeah, you didn't pay your bills." And
like, we've been trying, and we've given you what we have when we can. We were sticking to. And he's like, "Nope,
I'm sorry. I've given you guys, too many chances.
Too many."
Yeah. So after Alfred got evicted from Winchester, they're trying to get it back.
Yeah, and that's what's happening here is the appeal. The two sides.
Yeah. Yeah, they line up with their shield wall, and then like a couple attorneys come out. And they just have a conversation.
I'm representing the Saxons. The 2000,
and like the Saxon attorney turns around, like they offer them some kind of settlement or something, and then he turns around and he's like, "Are you guys cool with that?" And they just yell, "No mercy!" He turns around, it's like, "Yeah, that's not going to work out."
Yeah, it's not going to work with my client.
So
anyway, shield walls clashing right now. Leofric, before they clash, is like, "I'm gonna kill you, you bastard!" to Wolf here.
Yeah,
and he like instantly kills them when they're in the shield wall. He's like, "Die, Wolf!" Just instantly kills him.
But then Leofric gets cut in the neck.
Leofric gets an axe to the neck.
Yeah,
and he goes down, and they keep going, and
Scorpa realizes that
the Danes are doing pretty well.
Or the Saxons are doing well.
Oh yeah, sorry, the Saxons are doing
well. He needs to come up with an idea, and he has one.
Yeah, so he rides off.
Yeah.
And then he rides off to the back then, and he finds like the camp behind the army, and Isolt's there, and
like the women and children are.
Yeah.
And Isolt's there, and like they just start killing them, and he. We don't know what happened yet. We kind of see that he went after Isolt. She tried running away. And next thing you know, both sides
shield walls separate.
They separated. They were holding their ground. And Scorpa runs in the middle, and he's like, "Uhtred!" And he holds up Isolt's head.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And I think he yells, "No mercy."
No mercy. And he throws the head down, and him and his horse ride off back behind the shield wall, and Uhtred just loses it. And he bursts out of the shield wall
on his own. We're talking about
parkours over the shield wall.
A 3-tier shield wall he parkours over. He does like a jump and a roll over the 45 on the top.
Yeah.
And he just goes in and he just like swipes everybody like behind him.
On the belly of the turtle right now. And
he's fighting every. Yeah, he's surrounded. He's all alone. He's fighting everyone, and Scorpa like starts to charge him on his horse. And then this is the part when I first watched, I didn't catch.
We didn't.
And
catch
now
it
when
the
I
first
watched it
time.
again, I was kind of like, it's not very realistic. Bianca, it's sweet though, but
It is very
Bianca yells, Uhtred, and Uhtred turns, and Bianca like javelins him the spear, and Uhtred just catches a full flying spear, which by itself would be super hard to do. Grabs it, and then just perfect throw to right through Scorpa.
Yeah, gets him on the
So
ground.
it happened so
puts
fast.
it
when I didn't even think of. Yeah, then he kind of grinds it into him. I
Yeah,
didn't even think about how weird that was. But then when you rewatch it, you think, like he's like 50 yards away from Bianca.
yeah. The two shield walls have separated at this point to let all their dead out, and that was a
Uhtred
cool
had
shot
to-
too, seeing them separate,
Yeah.
seeing all the dead in the middle and the blood
grass
stained
is just
grass.
red. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So anyway, the shield walls are separate. Like 50 feet, like being able to hear that far.
yeah.
Would be
So
really
like
hard.
all these Danes are screaming, trying to fight Uhtred, and the clanging of the sword. And Uhtred, first of all, is just totally focused on trying to not die. And someone yells his name, and he has the audacity to turn and look like, oh, what's up? Did you say
And
my
just-
name?
And Bianca's throwing a spear at him. And
Yeah.
he's able to catch it.
You know how
after
hard that
being-
would be?
How could he have heard it? How could he have caught it? All that.
How could it have been that good of a throw? Like, it just when you think about it, it's just ridiculous. But it was cool.
But the first time we watched it, we were like so blown away from the head being thrown
The
at
thing is,
Uhtred, him bursting out,
jumping over
and
the wall.
we were losing our shit after he jumped over the shield wall. We were just like,
It was all kind of
"What?"
a blur. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god! And then next thing I knew, like he killed Scorpa.
Scorpa.
Like I didn't even didn't have time in my head to put together, A B C D, and like it was sick though. It was sick, awesome. So he breaks down the shield wall, which is like the integrity of their fighting force. As we've seen from other battles.
Right.
The Saxons come in and they start cleaning house.
Yeah.
And
here comes another. Yeah. So there's a really cool, just a cool fight scene they're kind of going through, and they focus on Ragnar, who this is really cool. Here's another great bro moment. Ragnar got like knocked down, and a Saxon was actually going to kill Ragnar.
Mm-hmm.
And Uhtred sees that, and Uhtred didn't kill his own man, but he went and like tackled him off of him.
Yeah, he like comes over and like shoulder checks him, like
shoulder
hockey
checks
style.
him. Yeah, and like just to save Ragnar's life,
Mhm.
And I just thought that was awesome,
Yeah, and before that too, Brita and Guthrum were both trying to, before the battle, were telling Ragnar, like, you've got to kill your brother if he's out there. You've got to do it. He's going to fight for him. You've got to kill him. And Uhtred, is the one who, still remembers, made a promise to you about revenge. We're family, And he saves him. Good bro moment, yeah.
Cool bro moment, yeah.
My favorite bro moment is probably Bianca throwing the spear, though. I mean, just like him being there in the battle for Uhtred.
I think just Bianca in general. This whole episode just became a bro.
He had the best like bro outing he could have had.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, then the battle keeps going. Ragnar gets up and he goes to Guthrum. He's like, "What are your orders? Like, we are getting chomped to bits here." And Guthrum's like, "You see that? That was crazy how Uhtred jumped over the shield wall or whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, but what are we going to do? What are our orders?" And Guthrum's like, "Our God's with them. Your God is with them." And like Guthrum this whole time has been kind of intrigued by the,
Again,
the Christian
that goes
religion.
back to like the Vikings don't not believe that their God exists.
Yeah.
They just think that they have their own God that works for them, like that, and like we have our gods that like are with us.
We worship
where like
Odin. You guys
like
can
Alfred
worship.
and people, the Saxons all believe like any other God doesn't, is not real, and that you guys, like don't believe in anything. So it's interesting. So that like to Guthrum is like, wow, their God is super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe that's the one I should be,
rooting for. And he doesn't give them any orders or anything. And they end up. You see Alfred leading a charge out then with his sword, and then they mention that it's 878 A.D. that the Saxons won the Battle of Ethelton there.
And a cool shot of Alfred actually came into the battle after they broke the wall, and he's
no mercy, yelling, no mercy,
and he's yelling it, and just a cool like freeze frame of him like yelling it and like with his sword, and it's just super well done. A lot of respect for Alfred after this episode.
Absolutely.
So yeah, great battle scene overall.
Yeah, so they win the battle. Uhtred wraps up. He, explaining what happens after the battle. The Danes, had some sort of treaty or truce where they had some land or something, but the Saxons really came out on top with the deal. They get, Winchester back. They have Ragnar and Brita as prisoners. They were hostages to help negotiate the truce, I guess. Guthrum actually gets baptized. And so he becomes officially left the Dane side.
Yeah. And becomes Ethelstan.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Yeah, because you got to get an Ethel or an Aethel name after.
Yeah, but you remember from Vikings, Ethelstan. That was his name too.
Oh yeah, the priest.
I'm trying to think. I don't know if that could possibly be derived from the same story, but
I don't think so.
Or variations. I don't think so, but
no.
Maybe just a coincidence with the name. But I did think it was interesting. It was the same name from Vikings.
Yeah, but then Uhtred then says, he's got further things to do, and he's got to go out, and he rides. Yeah, onward to Bember. He's got revenge. He's got blood feuds he's got to fill out, and he rides out. The show ends with him riding out into the sunset with Hild and Hallig, the nun, and that other guy from Wolfhere's group that he found, which is part of his new bro group right now. They run out into the sunset, and he's like, "Destiny is all," which was like a big part from the book, actually too. When he was growing up, Raven is actually who taught him that. If you watch the recaps for the show, Uhtred always says that, at the end. But that's where he got that from, was Raven. And that's a big thing in Viking culture, is destiny and fates and
exactly
things like that. So that's the end of the episode, and that's the end of the first season. I mean,
that's it.
What was your best moment then too from that episode?
Probably it's got to be him jumping over the wall.
Same. I mean, I just remember losing my mind then, and just instant gratification. Scorpa wrongs him by killing Esau, like 20 seconds tops. He gets revenge.
Yeah. Close second place is Alfred's speech. And the most shocking moment of it probably was Oda killing his son.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, overall, what an episode,
Yeah.
But I think how could you not pick Uhtred jumping over the wall?
No.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Crazy. He really parkoured there. I was ragging on his parkour in our last episode for trying to escape, when the hostages were being killed.
Yeah, you got to take that back right now.
But he made it over a shield wall.
You need to get on your knees and beg forgiveness.
I'm going to have to do a little pennant crawl.
A little groveling, maybe.
A little groveling. Yeah. Maybe kiss the steps leading upstairs here.
Yeah. Yeah, have your girlfriend stand there. Have Taylor stand there with her arms crossed,
just looking like Aylesworth up there.
Just looking like, yeah.
Get her in the pigtails off to the side.
Yeah.
Man. So yeah, it was a real big bummer that Leofric died. Great guy.
Yeah, I lost Leofric. I was a bummer. Wolfhere was at times a cool character. And that he joined the other side, that was kind of a surprise.
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere.
It did.
I didn't really, the first time watching it through, even really know who he was, other than I was like, all right, that's definitely a Saxon in the middle of those Danes over there. that they're saying is a traitor. So, like, I honestly, the first time I picked up, I didn't even catch that there was that was that specific guy that was like gonna, kill Uhtred. He was the one that negotiated the duel between him and Leofric. He's been a fairly prominent character.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it the first time through, though.
Yeah, you pick up on these things a little bit more the second time you watch it.
So that's our wrap up. Do you have any big things then from the season?
Satisfying that Alfred admits to Uhtred that Wessex is indebted to him. Finally,
Oh yeah, he does say that at the end too.
He says that he's indebted to him. So Uhtred finally gets some credit.
And from Alfred too.
From Alfred, yeah, which is what matters.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man, it's now other than that, great season.
Probably episode 2, 5, and 8 are my favorite ones. Probably 5 being my most favorite.
I still like the first episode too.
I do too. I don't dislike it, but
it's different because it sets everything up.
Yeah.
But so much happens in that one too.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I think 5 is my favorite overall. I think 5 is. Yeah. It's got 5's got everything in it though.
It's literally got everything from the show. It's got humor from the Vikings, from Ubba and Uhtred.
One of the coolest fight scenes.
Cool battle. It's got twists.
Got Ubba.
It's got Ubba. I mean, just great show. I mean, this is what got us hooked. I mean, we finished this and we're immediately going into season 2.
Absolutely.
Didn't even come up for air.
Well, I don't know. Anything else you want to add, or?
No, I mean, great show. I mean, we're going to be doing season 2. We're going to have a talk on that. We'll probably split that in half too, because that season actually does kind of have like a midpoint to it too, where
it does.
It switches stories.
Yeah, there's like 2 definitive stories in season 2.
It's the same characters are throughout it, really, but it really has like a first half and a second half, and so we'll be doing that next. So keep an eye out for that. Subscribe, follow us on YouTube and podcasts. There were The Screen Chronicles. Find us on Instagram, Facebook at The Screen Chronicles. And check the description below. We might have some links or anything like that. Just check it out, and feel free to leave a comment or whatever. Yeah. But do you have any other shows then? If you're someone that likes this show, what are some other shows or movies or things you might recommend?
Vikings.
Yeah, the show Vikings. I would probably watch this first, though, right?
Yeah.
That's what you
think so. I think so. Nightfall,
yes.
Vikings is on Hulu from History Channel. Actually, the final season will be coming out on History Channel, the second half of the final season, later this year. And then Nightfall is actually on Netflix.
Yeah. And it did air on History Channel too, but it hasn't really got cleared yet for a third season. I hope it does. It does.
Me too.
First,
so if you're into this kind of medieval times kind of thing, obviously Vikings, you're getting most of the Vikings. You're getting a lot of overlap with both Viking and Saxon characters. It doesn't, at least season 1 doesn't have the same Viking humor as The Last Kingdom. Mm-hmm. But you still kind of fall in love with a few of the characters, and the acting's great. The battles in Vikings are great.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a good watch. We really got into Vikings and liked it a lot.
I got real big into Viking culture. I'd played the new God of War before this and had some exposure to like the mythology, but after seeing this, we're actually like getting to see at least portrayal of the culture is pretty cool. And then Viking, I mean, I'm big into it now. Big into it. I can't think of any movies that, I mean, definitely, probably if you're into the battles and stuff, probably like Troy, Gladiator, Samurai.
A lot of the classics.
A lot of those classics. Nothing really new has come out though, as far as like a movie with battles and things like that in recent year. So, at least The Last Kingdom though. We've got season 4 coming out April 28th. So check that out too. Keep your eye out for that, and we're gonna, keep posting up our reviews and discussions on it. But you already know it's our favorite show, so
you do. And,
it's really going to be mostly like a summary recap discussion.
Yeah. And do we want to invite anybody onto the show, or?
Oh, are you talking about Alexander Draymond?
Might be. Might be.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Mark Rowley. He's not in season 1. He's in the current ones, though. The guy who plays Citric, blanking on your name right now.
Arnis, I think. Arnis Featherman.
Yeah.
And then
Billy
David Dawson,
Brandy,
who plays Alfred.
Yeah, David Dawson. So come on. Emily Cox, Brita, you can come on. Rune Tempe for sure. Ubba, if you want to get on and just talk, let's see too if you've been watching the seasons after you left. I'm interested in that. Elizabeth Butterworth, you want to get on, talk, explain your characters some more. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks
for listening, all you arselings.
Yes.
Destiny is all.